Hello and welcome to today's Here's to Your Health podcast. I'm Don Lintzman, your host. My guest on the podcast today is Dana Neemann. Dana is the Director of Education and the co-leader of our Care Support Group here at CCMH. And Dana, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
You know, one of the things that we want to talk about as we get closer to the holidays is really the whole concept of people who feel poorly. They feel badly about what's going on around the holidays. And there's a lot of different reasons for that, but most of the time people are coping with something. And I think usually what we see, Dana, is that people are coping with with some feelings of grief and loss. And unfortunately around the holidays that can be magnified. So tell us a little bit about your experiences with that and some of the mechanisms that we can use to cope with it.
So, that one really hits me near and dear to my heart. A few years back, we lost my mom days into December, it was just really hard. So one of the things that we have learned in my immediate family with my husband, children, and I is that we really have to focus on, positives and negatives. And so we, around our dinner table every night, we talk about our highs and lows or uppers, lowers, those kinds of things. You can do it, whatever you want. And we really try to focus on the fact that, positives and negatives are going to happen in life. But it's when you live in that and kind of forget hope that's when you become hopeless. And so one of the things that we really have focused on is, do you have a memory or do you have a cherished gift that you received around the holidays? It doesn't have to be with maybe a loved one that you have lost. It doesn't have to be with that particular situation, but find something that brings you joy. Do you remember what that was? And one of the things that I think that in today's day and age, we're such a social media driven society that it's very easy to pick up your device and go to Instagram, go to TikTok, go to Facebook, Snapchat, any one of them, and see this picturesque, picture perfect idea of what a holiday is. And even if you have a thread of unease or maybe it should be certain ways and you're seeing that, it can kind of help you spiral, really. And so you almost have to step back from that and you just have to remember, okay, what do I have control over, number one, and number two, what brings me joy? And you have to ask yourself that. The other thing is that I know we've talked about it in previous podcasts, is that grief and loneliness and loss, they are emotions. They're cycles, and they are life events, but they also come with a lot of emotions. And really, we have to become comfortable with being uncomfortable and allowing those emotions to happen. And if we keep trying to tuck them away and keep trying to fight them and push them down more and more and more, eventually you get to this point to where you can't even function, and you're either spending so much time and energy burying those things, or you're wallowing in them and you forget to really identify positives in your life and joy. And so, having someone to talk to is huge. Having someone that you trust. Not getting caught up in the picturesque, perfect holiday mindset. And, we all grew up with different traditions. And traditions are great as long as they're meaningful. And so if you're going through the motions of a holiday and you're doing something because it's what we always did, but you don't really find value and have joy with it, then is it really meaningful? Is it something that we even need to be doing?
What I hear you saying to me and to the people who are watching or listening today is that one of the most important things for us to do is to recognize the grief or loss that we're feeling, and then to actually work our way through that. And we both know that people grieve in different ways. They grieve over different periods of time. what's unfortunate about the holidays is that's when that loss is most keenly felt. But I think some of the suggestions that you're making today are really good for people to keep in mind, to understand that it's okay to feel that grief and loss around the holidays, but it's also important for us to create new memories while not forgetting what's happened in the past. I think that's excellent advice, Dana. My guest on the podcast today is Dana Neemann. Dana is the Director of Education here at CCMH. She's also the co-leader of our Care Support Group, which meets once a month, and they do a great job of supporting each other in whatever place they might happen to be in their lives. One of the things that we talk about a fair amount when it comes to self-care, which is what we're talking about today, taking care of yourself, is getting enough sleep. I think sleep is underrated in terms of what it actually can do for you and help you during this time of year.
So sleep is really important. And, early on in my career, I was a working mom. I was going to school. I was an active daughter. I was a volunteer and a leader and a lot of different things. And I quickly realized that once you start burning the candle, it all ends. If you don't have a time to regenerate and to rest, are you going to be as effective in what your role or what you're trying to accomplish? And so, adequate sleep is very important. And adequate sleep meaning uninterrupted, consistency. There's different studies out there. Some studies still say you must get the 8 hours of sleep at night. Some studies say, 4 uninterrupted hours are better than 8 tossing and turning, those kinds of things. As we age, if we are finding that we're having problems sleeping or feeling drowsy or not well rested, having to take more naps during the day, you really probably need to talk to your healthcare provider and talk about, maybe we need a sleep study. And anymore, I'm so excited about this. Anymore, you no longer have to schedule an appointment and come into the hospital. A lot of times, if you meet certain criteria and your insurance is willing to cover it, you can do a home sleep study. And doing studies on people in their home environment is going to determine, are they breathing appropriately? Are they having sleep apnea and things like that? And so, yes, sleep is important during the holidays, but sleep is important at all times of the year, because really that's the only time your body gets to just go rest, regenerate, reset. And really that reset is so important, because we're onslaughted with so much information and so many activities and so much stuff. And really, sometimes we have to go back to the basics. And, a good night's sleep is a good night's sleep. Another thing I'm going to tell you, and my grandma does not always believe me, but she finally has started to, because now so mattresses are not made to last 25 years anymore. So, back in the day, you would get a mattress and that mattress would be your mattress forever, and they're just not made that way. And so if you're finding yourself not resting well, maybe it's time to get a new mattress or a pillow top or something along those lines. And, quality sleep, it's not just I'm going to lay in bed for 9 hours. It's, am I really getting quality rest?
And I think you make an excellent point. I think there are a lot of reasons why you want to examine whether or not you're getting good rest every night. The only suggestion that I'll make to people is get into a routine.
Yes.
Start, if you know that you want to be in bed by 10 o'clock, put your phone away at 9, turn off the television at 9:30, get ready for bed at 9:45, and then make sure you're in bed by 10 o'clock. If you do that all the time, your body, like everything else, your body gets used to that routine, and then all of a sudden you realize that you're actually doing a pretty darn good job of sleeping through the night. And I think that's really where we start. But going along hand in hand with that, and we're going to take these two things together, it's diet and exercise, because I think that sleep, diet, and exercise together create what I would consider to be a healthy lifestyle. It allows you to be able to weather the storm of stress, no matter if it's around the holidays or any other time of the year. So let's talk a little bit about diet and exercise together.
So So really, okay, there's a couple of different philosophies on that. And, I know we're in an era of a lot of fad dieting. Ultimately, my healthcare worker stance is talk to your provider. Make sure you're not following all of the fad diets without understanding risks and benefits. I also went down the Atkins diet or the keto diet pathway. My risks and benefits to my organs did not outweigh, or my benefits did not outweigh my risks. And so I chose not to do that. Now, on the flip side, other people may really benefit from it.
And I would just like to point out very quickly what you're saying about seeing your provider. That's a really good idea. You need to make sure that you're in the right physical form in order to be able to both diet and exercise. Make sure that you don't have some sort of physical issue that's keeping you from doing either one of those things, because that could necessarily be true.
Correct. And then, like you said, with the exercise as well, is that, so a few years back, I decided I was going to see a personal trainer, and they were great. This personal trainer in this training group was an absolutely outstanding program for me. I hit it very hard on the front end to the point to where I couldn't walk for like 3 days. Like, it was bad. So every time I would stand up or sit down and be like, ow, ow, the ladies at the registration are like, is that Dana walking in? Because I couldn't walk. So just be mindful of that. But anyway, all jokes aside, diet and exercise are really important. Diet is really, it's not just so much what you're eating or how much you're eating, it's the quality of food. And so I know right now there are a lot of empty calories on the shelves, and it's super easy and quick. I'm not saying you can't have treats. I'm not saying you can't indulge and enjoy and things like that. You have to find things that bring you joy. But you also need to eat less, move more. And that is really where our mindset needs to be. I'm going to eat less, move more. If you're struggling with the portion control, then maybe have more of the less calorie dense foods. So less chocolates, less starches like potatoes and things like that, even though we all love them. I'm a German, Swedish, Irish woman too. I know it's good stuff. But
Aren't we all?
Oh my goodness. Oh, yum. But perhaps maybe eat a little bit more steamed broccoli or a little bit more, of this. And then and maybe instead of like 2 slices of bread, maybe have 1 and then slowly work it down to a half. And so those tiny little adjustments will really impact your day and impact your health overall. But one takeaway that I definitely know that falls into diet, nobody ever wants to talk about, is water intake. Studies have shown our body is majority is made of water. I don't want to say an exact percentage because I don't have it right off the top of my head. I think there's somewhere of like 80% of our body is made out of water. And so if we are drinking things like coffee, yes, I have my cup as well, and drinking things like caffeine, remember caffeine's a diuretic. And so every cup of coffee we really need to have 2 cups of water to replace the water we just flushed out of our system with our coffee. So, and really you need to have 64 to 100 ounces a day of water just to maintain homeostasis. And so, yeah, we focus a lot about the foods we put in our mouth, but we need to really think about the drinks that we put in our mouth too.
I want to thank everybody for joining us for the Here's to Your Health podcast today. I'm Don Lensman, your host. My guest on the podcast is Dana Neemann. Dana is the Director of Education here at CCMH. He's also the co-leader for our Care Support Group. And Dana, I want to finish up just the last few minutes today on our podcast by talking a little bit about going back to the beginning of our discussion. How do we cope with the holidays? And I think from the training that we've done with various groups over the past couple of years, we're really talking about 3 things, and that's gratitude, kindness, and hopefulness. So let's just take just a couple of minutes here at the end to talk about those 3 things that I think can really help us navigate the stress that we see around the holiday season.
So a lot of it has to do with your own internal mindset. It really does. And it's hard sometimes, especially when you are feeling hopeless or sad or overwhelmed or frustrated. But there is something good in every single day. And so it's a matter of finding that. And so sometimes I ask people, in fact, I just did it this morning at the senior center to get us into the right mindset. Think about your favorite toy as a child, or your favorite gift that you received in your lifetime, or think about your favorite holiday memory, and just start talking about that. And what you're going to find is that as that memory goes from here to here, you start to change kind of your mindset here, and you start to have that feeling of gratitude. And sometimes it's nostalgia, sometimes it's emotional, but those simple ideas of being grateful for the little things really translate into the big. And so if you think back to, like, if you came from a tradition where you had a lot of people and you had a great big holiday celebration, remember it takes all of these tiny little things in order to make that memory. And so that's really where you kind of have to be in that right mindset. And sometimes, journaling helps. Get the thoughts out, get the juices flowing as far as that goes. And kindness, hashtag just be kind. It's simple. It's simple as a smile. You say hello. I mean, if you feel that you are not going to be able to function in an element of kindness, or you're just not in that space, then just avoid. And then, when it comes to hope, everyone's definition of hope is just a little bit different. And so one thing that I learned years ago as an ER nurse and as a hospice nurse, you can't take away people's hope. They have to be ready for it. They have to be ready for a lot of things. And so really you have to kind of meet where people are at, and just know that hope comes in a lot of different capacities. If you're faith-based, if you're spiritual, if you're intellectual, whatever your philosophy is, it's great. But you want to latch on to what it means to you. Where you start, this is my Don Lensman saying, where you start is not where you finish, or where you have to finish, And remember, there's these small things. There's something beautiful in every day, and you just learn, and it takes practice. I mean, it's not an easy thing to say that it's always going to be there. And you know what? If you mess up and it's not great, okay. It's okay. You're not perfect. Nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
You're just practicing.
And I just want to echo what you said there for a second. I think if we take a moment, all of us take a moment during the day to find something to be grateful for, to just dole out some sort of small kindness to somebody that we meet, and then to think about tomorrow, what we're hoping for, because we need hope in order to be able to function as a people and individuals. We all need something to look forward to. So I would just encourage everybody, as we get into the holidays a little bit deeper here, think about those three things every day. Think about, how can I be grateful? How can I be kind? How can I be hopeful? And I think it will. I think we're going to do just great.
So one other quick thing, Don, before you close out, is that in January's Care Support, which is the second Thursday of every month, January's Care Support, we're not going to have an official program. We're going to sit down and chat, and we are going to be able to. We're going to sit down and chat, and then we are also going to be able to have Paulette Lingle really help guide us in a lot of those mindsets. And so Paulette works for Crawford County Community Health. She is our social worker. She is actually in her master's program, and so she's really going to help us, guide that. And so I encourage anybody that's listening today or watching today to just consider coming. Just consider coming, because like I've said in the past, there are no strangers in that group.
My guest on the podcast today has been Dana Neemann. Dana's the Director of Education here at CCMH, and she's also a co-leader of our Care Support Group. And Dana, thank you for your time today.
Thank you. I'm
Don Lensman, your host for the Here's to Your Health podcast. We wish everybody a great day, but especially a great holiday. And we'll talk to you again soon. Thank you for watching. See you soon. Bye.